You've probably heard of Neighbourhood Watch. Well, did you know that the pub and hospitality trade has a similar scheme? It's an initiative which has been in existence for many years, and it is credited with having a significant impact on crime and disorder in the nighttime economy. The initiative is called Pubwatch. Traditional Pubwatch schemes are voluntary bodies where the licensed members come together to tackle local problems. The cornerstone of most schemes is that as a group they collectively utilise their common law right to exclude people who they think might pose a risk to their customers and staff or cause damage to their businesses. Pubwatch schemes are most effective where the members have a close working relationship with other stakeholders, particularly the police, and they are able to share information on crime trends and problem individuals. So in practice, how does it work? Perhaps the easiest thing to do would be for us to attend a local Pubwatch meeting. Well, that's probably not a realistic thing to do because we wouldn't want to breach data protection law. So let's try the next best thing and create our own fictional Pubwatch group so that we can identify some of the typical issues that their members might face on a regular basis. So Dave, I understand that you're the chairman.
Yes, I'm the chair of the scheme. I was elected at last year's AGM. I think my main job is to provide the public face of the scheme in representing the members' interests in discussions with external bodies and other individuals, and also sometimes to the press. In addition, I try to provide a sense of direction for the scheme and keep us moving forward, and I also chair the committee meetings.
And I suppose the committee meetings are quite an important part of the process of running the scheme.
Yes, but I think it's important to say that we are run by consensus. We're run by the members for their own benefit. And whilst we do have an agreed structure and a process by which we make decisions, we are able to be flexible in the way that we approach the various challenges that we face.
Hello Mandy, I understand that you are the scheme secretary. How would you describe your role?
Well, I suppose my main role is to make sure that we keep accurate minutes of our meetings and that any decisions taken by the committee are properly recorded and passed on to the members. I also make sure that any correspondence with the scheme is dealt with promptly. For instance, we have a letter today from someone who wants to appeal their ban. So I shall make sure that the committee sees that letter and that any decision taken by the members is forwarded on to that person. I also make sure that our registration with the Information Commissioner's Office and the scheme's insurance policy are kept up to date. So this means I get to work very closely with Dave, our chairman, and Helen, our treasurer.
And what would be the purpose of registering with the Information Commissioner?
Well, the fact that we discuss and record the personal details of anyone who may have caused problems in our pubs and share that with the members means that we are maintaining a sort of database. And sometimes the police share information with us, such as banned people's photographs. Now, using such data comes with responsibilities, and one of those is the fact that we have to register with the Information Commissioner's Office.
I see, and I suppose you have to be careful about how you share that information.
Oh, absolutely. It's very important that our members share this and use this information correctly. And so we have a formal information sharing agreement with the police, which all members must sign.
So Helen, as the treasurer, do you have a banking or financial background?
No, but we all run businesses and have to manage money, so it's not much different. We're only a small scheme, but we still handle the money on behalf of our members because we have to collect subscriptions and sometimes we handle small donations and there are outgoing annual commitments such as insurance. So we feel that it's important that our members feel that their money is safe and that there is an audit trail of expenditure.
Mandy also mentioned that you have an insurance policy. What do you have insurance for?
Well, it's really a safety net. You can never be sure that you won't ever face a serious legal challenge and need specialist legal advice. So we thought it would be sensible to take out insurance. There are some schemes that don't have insurance, but we thought it would make sense that if we needed that advice, we wouldn't have to go round shaking the collection tin. Of course, you have to make sure that the insurance policy has the cover you actually need.
Hi, Frank. How would you describe your relationship with the Pubwatch members here today?
Well, it's no different to the liaison role we have with many other local partnership schemes. We support them because they're making a real difference to community safety in the town centre. But I should stress that I'm only here as an invited guest, and that means that I play no part in their decision-making, and in particular have no say about who gets excluded from their premises.
That's what they term banning, right? So exactly what do you do?
Well, we have an information sharing agreement relating to the type of thing we can share, but basically I see my main role as keeping them informed of recent trends or incidents that might affect their premises. Obviously it's a two-way street, and if I think that it's going to serve a policing purpose, such as to prevent or detect crime, then I may share information relating to specific things they're discussing.
Mandy also mentioned the information sharing agreement. What is the importance of that?
Well, it's just to protect everyone involved in the whole process, really. Basically, it sets out how and why we share information in accordance with the Data Protection Act. For example, we have a scheme in place where we can share police photographs of certain individuals that might need to be identified if, for instance, they've been banned.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if I can call the meeting to order then, please.
Sorry, looks like things are getting going. Cheers.
Well, that's quite a bit of information to take on board. But we can probably highlight a few key points worthy of consideration from what we've heard today. Firstly, it's clear that the licensees see Pubwatch as a voluntary partnership which they undertake for their own benefit, even if their activity has an impact on crime and disorder in the wider community. The Pubwatch has an agreed structure and processes as to how the members run their scheme. However, they are flexible in how they deal with the new challenges. The police and other stakeholders attend meetings as guests and as such have no say in the decisions taken by the members, in particular decisions taken which relate to the banning of individuals. The Pubwatch members and the police can and will share information when appropriate. However, they are fully aware of their responsibilities under the Data Protection Act and the potential dangers of misusing information. Lastly, the Pubwatch members have considered the potential for legal challenges and liability relating to the running of the scheme and have taken the decision to obtain insurance cover. We are now going to look at the dynamics of decision-making and some of the principles that underpin a good Pubwatch scheme in more detail.
Okay, on Friday night we had a problem with this chap Craig Smith. I think some of you know him. He was fine when he first came in, but then after a while he got into an argument with one of the other customers, and we got the impression that he was pretty drunk. So we asked him to leave, and our head doorman Mike escorted him to the front door, but then he tried to force his way back in, and he punched Mike in the face. So we called the police, and the police did arrest him at the scene, but I do propose that we do ban Craig.
Yeah, no, I heard about the incident. He's currently on police bail, one of the conditions of which is that he mustn't come into the town centre.
Okay.
If he's being dealt with by the police, perhaps we should wait and see what happens. We don't want to interfere with their investigation.
I don't think it's a question of interfering with the investigation. I mean, our decision needs to be based on whether we think this guy is a danger to our members and to their businesses. Now, if we do ban him, it's because we have the right to exclude him under our common law powers. I assume Mark's cooperating with the police investigation, so I think we need to deal with this proposal as a separate issue. Now, of course, we can't assume that they will decide to prosecute at the end of that investigation, so I think it's up to us to make a decision on this proposal now. Are there any questions for Mark?
Yes. Was Mike hurt?
Yes, he was, yeah. He had a bloody nose from nosebleed. He didn't need to go to hospital, though, because he's a big lad. But we sorted him out with a cold press, and he was okay. But to answer your question, Dave, yes, we are cooperating and helping with the police investigation, and Mike has given a statement.
Okay, anything else?
I think I should point out that we had to ask him to leave our premises a couple of weeks ago because we thought he was drunk.
Okay, so we've heard what Mark's proposed. We've also heard that Mandy had to ask him to leave the premises. So is everyone agreed that we should ban Craig Smith? Can I ask for a show of hands? Can I also remind people that it's one vote per member premises, please?
Yeah.
Okay, unanimous. Right, at the last meeting we also agreed that anybody who had assaulted a member of staff should be banned for a minimum of 12 months. So, are we all agreed to ban Craig Smith for 12 months, or does anybody else have any other proposals?
I think 12 months is fine. I think that's enough time for Craig to change his ways, hopefully.
Okay, so, vote on that, please. Thank you very much. Right, could you prepare a banning letter for me to sign then, please?
Yes, of course, Dave. I don't think we've got his address though, but Frank, would you be able to address it and deliver it personally?
Yeah, no, I can do that. I think as it's to prevent a potential crime or disorder, then I'm justified as it's for policing purposes. I'll also see if we have a police photo that I'm able to share with the group. If so, I'll post it on your messaging system so members can access it.
Excellent.
Okay, thank you for that. Right, I think we can move on to the next item on the agenda. Now, I don't know if anybody recalls, a couple of weeks ago...
So that seems pretty straightforward. The committee has listened to their members' verbal account of the incident and a proposal to ban Craig Smith. They have agreed to collectively use their common law right to exclude him from their premises. The police officer has been willing to update the committee that Smith is currently on police bail and that one of the conditions is that he is not to enter the town centre. He has also indicated that to prevent a reoccurrence of the incident, that he is willing to ensure that Smith is notified that he has been banned. If possible, he will also share a police photograph to help the members identify Smith should he try and re-enter their licensed premises.
We've had a letter of appeal from Toby Young. If you remember at the last meeting, we banned him for 6 months for getting into a fight at the wheelwrights, and the police were called and he had to be removed from the premises. Shall I read the letter?
Yes, if you could, and then perhaps, Harold, you can remind us what happened as you proposed the original ban.
Okay. I am appealing my ban. I was in the wheelwrights on Friday evening and the Barrett brothers insulted my girlfriend. I'm not a violent person, but I felt that I had to protect her honour. I told them to apologise, but they just laughed at me and it all kicked off. I am not proud of my behaviour, but I feel I'm being punished here because I was the one who was injured and the police didn't press charges, so I'm completely innocent and should be allowed back in. This is completely against my human rights, and if you don't withdraw the ban, I am going to my solicitors.
I don't know why the fight started, but it caused quite a scene in the bar and furniture was damaged and my customers were quite upset about it. One or two of them haven't returned since the incident. The Barrett brothers were banned as well because of the fight and I won't have any of them back in my pub.
Okay, Frank, when we made the original decision to ban, there was a police investigation ongoing. Do you have any update for us on that?
Well, he's right that he hasn't been charged, but neither have the Barrett brothers. The CCTV of the start of the incident that we have doesn't really show who landed the first punch. Toby shouldn't have confronted them, but as he appears to have come off the worst, we didn't think it was in the public interest to pursue a prosecution in this case.
You see, this isn't a matter of his human rights or whether or not the police wish to prosecute, it's whether or not we want this sort of behaviour in our pubs. I mean, we've all just heard what Harold has said about how it affected your business. I mean, I certainly couldn't lose customers like that. It's ridiculous. So, yeah, I mean, this ban isn't to punish him, it's to protect our businesses. So I think the ban should stand.
Right, does anyone else have a view? Nope. Okay, we've heard what Harold and Mark had to say. Does everyone agree, therefore, that the ban should stand? Can I have a show of hands, please? Thank you. Okay, I'll write to him, tell him that we have discussed his letter of appeal, but that the ban will stand. I'll remind him when it ends, and I will also advise him to respect our members' wishes.
Right, I'm really sorry. I did look into whether we could supply a police photo, but as there's no likelihood of a conviction, I'm afraid I can't supply an up-to-date image.
Well, I do know that he complained about the ban to the local press because there was a reporter in the bar trying to ask questions. I told him it was the decision of the scheme and I didn't want to discuss it. Yeah. But a member of my staff saw him outside taking a picture of Toby in front of the pub. So there'll probably be a photo in this week's Herald.
Okay, well, I mean, if he wants people to know what he looks like, I think we can certainly make use of that. I was going to ask if you'd got him on CCTV, but I think we'll just wait and see what turns up in the local newspaper. Okay, moving on to the next item, which is...
Pubwatch does not have to justify the reason for implementing a ban or to provide a means of contesting the decision. However, this scheme has agreed to accept written appeals, which is a sensible way to allow individuals to engage with the scheme members in a safe and controlled way. The committee have heard that the police will not be prosecuting anyone involved in the incident and that Toby Young is therefore claiming that he is an innocent victim. The members have correctly identified that the police involvement in the incident is a separate issue and that they should base their decision on the potential risk that Young poses to their businesses. A ban is not a punishment, and decisions should not be linked to whether the police have sufficient evidence to mount a successful prosecution or if it is in the public interest to do so. In this scenario, we find that the police are unable to provide a recent image of Toby Young. It is open to you to find your own photographs of the banned person, but we would strongly advise to only use images that can be sourced from your own members' CCTV or are freely available in the public domain. The committee are going to notify Toby Young that they have read his letter of appeal, but that he remains banned from members' premises. Whilst this may not allay his sense of grievance, it will show that the scheme has been willing to listen to his side of the story, and at the same time, it will give them an opportunity to inform him about when and how he might eventually be allowed back into the town's licensed premises.
Okay, our last appeal is a letter from a solicitor representing Danny Perkins. You will remember that he was recently released from prison after serving a sentence for stabbing a doorman. He's now returned to live locally. You should each get a copy of the letter, the main point of which is that he is challenging our right to prevent his client from drinking in our pubs, stating that he has served his punishment and paid his debt to society. He goes on to say that we are preventing his client from conducting his business or socialising in the town centre, and that this is affecting his human rights.
Yeah, we received a similar letter from his solicitors. We told them that we don't run the scheme, we just attend in a liaison role, and we advised them that they might want to write to you, Dave, sorry.
Well, never mind. Right, I think we need to make a decision about this. First of all, how does everyone feel about the ban before we decide how we are going to respond?
Well, I think the decision to ban him was unanimous, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. I mean, we all saw the coverage on the TV when he was sent down. You know, I don't think any of us would want to risk, repeat performance in one of our pubs.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's something members were concerned about. Does anyone else have any views on whether we should stand firm on this?
Yeah, obviously no reason to back down just because he's got legal representation. I mean, that's one of the reasons we all took out insurance, isn't it? Yeah, and I agree with what Helen says. We don't want him in our pubs.
I also see he's demanding the right to attend our meetings and make representations on behalf of his clients.
Well, that's not going to happen, is it?
No.
I mean, this isn't a court. We give people the right to make an appeal, and he's had his chance to make his point. So.
Presumably, if one of his other clients was stabbed by Danny Perkins in one of our pubs, he'd be suing us for failing in our duty of care.
Yeah. Okay, so I take it that we are all agreed that he remains banned at this time. Yeah. Show of hands, please. Thank you. You'll note that he also makes a number of other demands. He wants a list of all of our members, copies of our constitution and rules, and he wants a copy of the committee minutes.
He also seems to be suggesting that because we may be keeping personal details about his client, that we may be breaching the Data Protection Act, and that unless we withdraw the ban, he will put in a formal complaint to the Information Commissioner and start legal proceedings to get the ban overturned.
My understanding is that when there have been previous challenges such as this, they try and attack you under human rights legislation by trying to prove that a local authority figure, such as the police, are involved in the running of such a scheme.
Well, that obviously isn't the case here, is it? I mean, no offence, Frank, but we run the scheme for our own benefit.
None taken, I agree.
Yeah, I think we need to take this seriously, not just hope that it'll go away. Having said that, I don't think that we have anything that we need to worry about. We do have a legal duty to provide the solicitor with details specific to his client, so I will make sure that he gets a copy of our minutes suitably edited so they only relate to our discussions about Danny Perkins. We're not obliged to provide any of the other information that he requests unless compelled to by the courts.
I really think that we need to keep this simple and just explain why we don't want him in our pubs. And if it does become serious, then we convene an emergency meeting and reconsider our position. But I, for one, will not allow him back in my pub.
Yep, I agree. I think we should keep this short and to the point. I don't think we should be drawn into any protracted debate. I will write to him and give the reasons for our banning his client under our common law powers. I don't think we need to seek any legal advice at this stage, but obviously if this escalates, I will respond accordingly. And in that case, I will contact the insurance company, but I think we can more than adequately demonstrate that we are acting within our common law powers. Okay, right, let us move on. I will get that letter sent out as soon as I possibly can.
It is not unusual for a banned person to seek the help of others to intervene on his behalf. In this case, it's a solicitor who has stated that his client has served his debt to society. The members have again rightly identified that the banning decision is not based on the criminal prosecution or sentence, but on the potential risk he might pose to their business now that he is a free man. However, it would be foolish to ignore threats of legal action without fully considering the issue and making an appropriate response. There is no need to get drawn into a protracted legal debate. Just set out your case simply and concentrate on the facts. The Pubwatch is a voluntary scheme which exists for the benefit of its members. The original decision to ban Danny Perkins was taken in accordance with the licensed members' right to exclude anyone who they believe to be a risk to their businesses. The Pubwatch Committee have considered the representations made by the solicitor and have decided that his client remains banned from their premises. The solicitor has also demanded copies of Pubwatch documentation. Under the Data Protection Act, anyone who keeps personal information is obliged to provide a copy of the information if they receive a formal request. This does not mean that the Pubwatch must share all its documentation. They only have to provide records which are related to that individual. So, for example, if they maintain details of the discussion relating to the decision to ban Danny Perkins, then he is entitled to a copy of that record. But it can be suitably redacted to remove all details of other names or details discussed. A small charge can be made for supplying the information. See the ICO website for details. Lastly, the information provided by the Pubwatch may satisfy the solicitor that his client has no case to seek a legal remedy. On rare occasions, the solicitor may attempt to challenge the processes of the scheme. For example, making a complaint to the Information Commissioner, or attempting to overturn the ban through judicial review in the High Court.
So, if we have no other banning business, I think we can move on to the rest of the agenda. I understand Mark wants to talk to us about a fundraising event in support of local street pastors. Before we do that, I'd like people to give some thought to what subjects we might cover at the next meeting. For the benefit of those who weren't here last time, we had a very interesting presentation from Trading Standards on counterfeit vodka and tobacco that's been showing up in town.
I've spoken to the fire safety department and they're prepared to do a presentation on preparing and reviewing our fire risk assessment.
I'd support that.
Okay, thanks. If you could make the arrangements for that. Lovely, thank you. If everyone else would like to have a think about what subjects we might cover and drop a line either to Mandy or to myself. And with that, Mark, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Dave. Right, okay, so I was thinking we could all get involved in a barrel run, if you're up for that.
Sorry, street pastors, is it?
Yes.
So is it...
Meetings do not just have to be about banning people. A Pubwatch meeting is your forum, and it's up to you to decide what to discuss. It's an opportunity for you to share good practice, or find out about issues that might affect your businesses, or even plan your own initiatives to address local issues. Local stakeholders will be keen to work with an organisation that is forward-looking and open to discussion. Well, there you have it, a number of common scenarios which you might face in a typical Pubwatch meeting. How you run your scheme or tackle the problems in your town are obviously down to you. However, nothing is ever totally unique, and others have probably faced them already. So where can you go for unbiased advice and support? National Pubwatch was formed in 1997 to provide practical advice and guidance to people like you who want to work and socialise in a safe drinking environment. They exist to promote good practice and partnership working. So if you want unbiased support as to how you might set up a scheme or make your scheme more effective, or to obtain a copy of their good practice guide, they will be pleased to hear from you. For more information about National Pubwatch, visit their website at www.nationalpubwatch.org.uk.